Hi folks, in this video I'm going to show you the main new features that have been added in RightBooth version 7.12.0. So here's the full list. I'll go through them one at a time. So let's start with video enhancements, and we'll talk about using multiple audio files. So in event structure under video enhancements, as you may or may not know, you can add various enhancements to your video recordings. And one of the options is to add an audio track. So I'm just using a reference video here to show you what happens. I'll start off by not doing anything to the video. We'll just test it. So here's our input video with no differences applied other than it's being converted to an MP4. Now let's add an audio track. Now originally you could only add one file in here, but now we can add more than one. It takes you to this panel. You choose the add button, go and find some music tracks. I'm going to pick all these four. Notice they're all added in here. Let's have a listen to them. You can change the order. Let's just mute that. You can change the order, you can remove them, and you also have the option of choosing whether or not these files will be used in random order or in sequential order. So I'm going to leave it at random. So let's click OK. Now as you can see down here, we now have the four music tracks. And basically what will happen is that every time you enhance a video, RightBooth will pick one of these four tracks at random to add to the enhanced video. So let's just test. Okay, let's try again. So as you can see, RightBooth will randomize the music tracks here. Now there is a chance obviously that the same track will be chosen each time, in which case you can simply turn off the random order here. The next feature to discuss is multiple segment definitions. So let's go back into video enhancements. I'm going to turn on video segments, and as you can see I've chosen 4 segments to apply to each of the video enhancements. Let's just test that. Now obviously these segments would be applied to each of your videos that you enhance, but you might want to have some variety in these segments. This is where you can tick this option here, and then you can choose various file segment definitions. Now I can choose to save this here as a segment definition file, and I've previously created some others and saved them, so you can now include these here. Again, you get the same panel. Let's click add. It takes you to the video segments folder in the RightBooth media library, and you can basically add all the ones that you've defined before. So I'll just choose those 4. You can change the order, you can get them to be picked in a random order. Click OK, and as you can see now, RightBooth has got these 4 segment files to choose from, so each time you enhance the video it will pick a different video segment file. And again, this will just apply some variety to all of your videos. So it's the same principle as the audio track selection. We get random or sequential video segment file selection. Okay, the next feature is the web gallery, and that's part of a sharing station event. It's been a much requested feature, so let's take a look at it. So starting at version 7.12, when you run a sharing station event, RightBooth will maintain a web gallery in the same folder structure as the sharing station files. So that will allow people with mobile phones to access the web gallery independent of RightBooth, as long as they are in range of your private network, your router. Now for this to work, you obviously have to have WAMP server running, and I've got it running here. So let's just have a look at some settings. Going to social media, local web server, and in here we have the settings that you can apply to the web gallery. So you can give it a page title that appears at the top of the browser. You can apply your own banner. You can choose a gallery prompt. So here I've got choose a file to view and download. You can include a download button, and you can also include a contact button. So the easiest way to look at this is to just test it here. Now this only works if you've got WAMP server running, so let's do that. Now it's not very fancy at the moment, and obviously we can improve this as time goes on, but right now what we're seeing are 4 thumbnails of 4 videos in the web gallery, and if you click one you can download it. So it's a mini website basically on the WAMP server sharing station event folder. Let's go back to RightBooth. Let's just change this. Another test. So as you can see, you can quickly change the title here. You can also change this banner for your own. Now, as I say, RightBooth will automatically update this web gallery as you are using the sharing station, and if more files appear in the sharing station, then the web gallery will be updated to reflect those changes. So the nice thing is that while people are using the sharing station, other people can be viewing the web gallery. Now, how do they access the web gallery? Well, that's where this new QR code comes in. I'll just show you what I've done there. Let's go into the editor, onto the media browser screen. I'll just double click this. And as you can see, it's a QR code with the type gallery web page. So that's now an option down here, gallery web page. And what that does is allow users with phones to scan that QR code and get instant access to the gallery on their mobile phone. So just to show you the folder structure, so this is the sharing station file, sharing station, and this is where the files are maintained. So we've got the 4 videos, we've got the banner, and this is the important file that RightBooth creates, rbgallery.php. Now you don't need to touch this, RightBooth maintains this itself. It also creates thumbnails of all of the videos and all of the photos so that they are quickly viewable on the mobile phones. It also has the individual pages for each of the download files. So all this is handled for you, you don't have to touch it. So let's just put some more files in here. Let's just go for, say, these 3. Put them in here. So if I now go back into RightBooth and have a look at the gallery, you can see that we've now got these extra files. So RightBooth is maintaining this behind the scenes for you as the sharing station receives more files. One thing relating to thumbnails is media size. Let's have a look here. There's a new section here to allow you to choose how big you want the thumbnail files to be and what quality. Now this is quite important because if you have very large thumbnails, it could take quite a while for people to view them on their mobile phones. So you need to experiment with this. But obviously the smaller the size of the thumbnails and the lower the quality of the images, the faster the gallery will appear on the user's phones. Now the next thing to mention are the video player options. Quite a few of you have reported glitches in video playback in RightBooth in certain situations. Now some of it's to do with video drivers, some of it's to do with the Windows Media Player itself not handling MP4 files correctly. And I found that using another video player, which I'm calling the RightBooth player, does actually help in some situations. So this is about firefighting. If you have a problem with video playback, you may want to try the other video player. So let's look at where you get that. Go into settings, miscellaneous, and down here we have the video player setting. Now by default, RightBooth uses the Windows Media Player. But as it says here, if you experience problems playing videos, try the other player. So you literally just click this and click OK, and RightBooth tells you that you have to restart in order for the player to be active. So let's do that. So now we're switched over to using the RightBooth player. Let's just confirm that in settings, as you can see. So it's worth trying that to see if that makes any difference. The other thing that is very important for some situations is to install lav filters. So let me just go back here and show you the link. So lav filters, and it's at this address. Let me just show you where it is. Here we are. Now this is updated regularly. It was last updated in March, and you can literally download the installer here. And what it does is it installs a number of codecs on your system, and there's quite a few there that handle MP4 playback. Now I have found on one of my systems that it solved a problem when I was trying to play back files in RightBooth that were using the Windows Media Player. But it will benefit both the Windows Media Player and the RightBooth player. So as I say, if you find that you're having some issues playing back MP4 files in RightBooth, I would suggest installing these lav filters. The last thing I want to talk about in this release are the new access code features, in particular the QR access code and the personal web gallery. So let's have a look at what access codes are all about. Go into settings, security. So the access code feature allows you to prevent guests from accessing your events unless they enter an access code. Now as you can see here, there's just one code in this list, and it's actually got a use count of 28, which means you can use this code 28 more times. Now I've been using this in my demonstrations, but what you really want to do is to give every one of your guests an individual code. So let's assume you're going to have 20 guests. So I'll add another 19 here. Now as you can see, it's added 19 codes, there's 20 altogether. It's put them into numerical order. Now the ones that it's added have got a user count of 10. So each of these codes can be used 10 times. You can obviously change all this, and you might want them to be single use codes. So if I select them all, apart from this one, I could set the usage count to 1. Now all these codes become single use codes. So how do you get these codes to your users? Well, you print them. So first of all, select them all, or the ones that you want to print. Choose the print button. Choose your printer. Let's have a look at print preview. Now they're printed out with a reasonable amount of white space around them, so they're easy to cut up to hand out to your guests. So you can create these before you start the event and just hand them out to your guests. They can then go around your booths entering the access code at the start screen. Let's just show you how to do that. Go into Design, Event Structure, and on the start screen you can tick Access Code. Now if I play the event and click here, it's asking me for an access code, so you have to enter a valid code here. Similarly, you can choose, rather than printing numeric codes, you could print QR codes. So again, select these, print QR. Let's just turn this down to a smaller size, something like that. Print QR, choose the printer, print preview. And as you can see, we have a set of codes here that represent all the access codes. Again, these can be handed out to guests. Now, if I go back into the design, event structure, start screen, this time I'll choose QR access code. Now in this situation, by adding a QR access code, the user is going to have to hold up their QR code to a webcam. When the webcam detects the QR code, it will allow them to access the event. Now watch what happens when I try and progress past here. The last thing I want to talk about is the personal web gallery. Now that's related to access codes. So to explain that, first of all, if you go into settings and look at the files and folders section, there is a new option here for naming your files, and it's access code. Now what that means is that if you tick this, each time RightBooth saves a file, if there's been an access code entered by your user, then the file name will include that access code. Now that's quite important because it allows RightBooth to differentiate all the files that have been saved by one access code and group them together. Now by doing that, it's possible then to just show subsets of the files in the sharing station. So by ticking that, just remember that the 6-digit access code will be part of the file name for the videos and the photos that are generated. So the next thing you need to do is to open up a sharing station event, go into the design, and in event structure on the start screen, tick either access code or QR access code. So that means that the guest will have to enter a code in order to use the sharing station. So I'll just tick that. Final thing you need to do is go to the watch folder section, and you'll see that there's a new option which is to show only the access code files. Now if you tick that, when they run the sharing station and they enter their access code, they will only see the files that have been created by them. If you leave this unticked, it will allow them to see all of the files in the sharing station. So I'm going to tick that. So now when I play this event and I click to continue, I have to enter my access code in order to be able to see just my files in the sharing station. Now similarly, it's possible to actually browse those files on their phones independently of the sharing station. And the way to do that is to present them with a QR code that they can scan with their mobile. So once they're into here, you can edit this to be a personal gallery web page. Now the difference between that and the standard gallery web page is that this one will also include a filter on the web gallery PHP file, which will then only allow the guest to see the files that have got their access code as part of the file name in the gallery. So those are the main features. There are quite a few bug fixes and one or two minor features which you will find in the release notes on the website. So I hope you find this useful, and thanks for watching.